When you're thinking about putting a livery on your car, it's very easy to just Google drift livery and come to the conclusion that every livery has to look exactly like these examples right here. A very in-your-face vibrant flame or tribal background with a bunch of sponsors slapped all over it. Now there are plenty of great examples of this style, but there are also a lot of really generic looking, fast food looking liveries that it's just a lot of it's kind of getting played out at this point. Well-designed liveries are a huge part of the culture of drifting, and it honestly hurts a little bit to see when people are kind of lazy with that aspect of the car. To me, a livery is just as important as any other part of the car and deserves a lot of thought put into it. If you're a grassroots driver that's not tied down to any companies, or just a casual driver that has fun on the weekends and want to run a livery on your car, rather than ordering something generic like this, I mean, what the hell is this, bro? That's just wrong. You should take the opportunity to sit down with an artist and make something really cool and unique to you and your influences. This video is really only targeting grassroots drivers and people that are doing it for fun, because once you get to a certain level like FD, I can imagine it gets really hard to have any input whatsoever on what your sponsors want as far as design goes. And that is why grassroots is the best. You get to do whatever you want with your car. So with that said, let's take a look at some examples I've prepared today and talk about style. Let's start out with something little classic, tribal. A perfect execution of a modern take on the classic tribal look has to be this car right here, Mr. Mike Martin out of Canada. This is how you do it. Notice how it's not just slapped on there randomly. Every piece of the livery has a purpose and flows perfectly with the natural body lines of the car. This helps to create a more clean look and prevents the livery from looking too busy. I absolutely love this rear quarter panel shot with that little piece that looks like it comes out of the rear glass and up onto the rear pillar, and the few little subtle smoky gray colored pieces on the front of the car just tied all together so well. I can't speak highly enough about this car, and also the aero choice, man, it's perfect. Moving on to one I'm sure everybody here knows, Mr. Adam LZ. The dude has had some of the best liveries in FD history, hands down. Dude's super genuine. He's been to a bunch of Texas events around me, and he's always just super respectful to everybody. I mean, for those people that don't like him, y'all are just mad he's making more money than you, honestly. A bunch of haters. All right, let's move on. The perfectly faded paint job on the S15 definitely helped with the style points. A lot of people have done this in the past, but Adam executed it very well. And rather than relying on tribal or flames, D-Magic, the designer of Adam's livery, made use of unique elements like flowers and these little smoky wave shapes to give off that same vibe, but in a very unique and artistic way. Everything just flows so well together. Nothing's clashing as far as the colors go. And I think this one specifically is the best livery in FD history, hands down. I think that's a fair statement, but let me know your favorite FD livery in the comments below. I'm curious to see what you guys have to say about that. It seems like anything D-Magic, the designer of Adam LZ's livery, touches turns to gold. He's designed some of the best liveries in drifting. For example, all of Animal Style, whose cars are usually regarded as some of the most stylish to do it in America. Here's a few pictures of their cars right here. He also did this awesome, super simple and clean design for JY World's R32, and has collabed multiple times with the very legendary part shop Taka from Japan on projects for a lot of the Kansai guys like Naoki Nakamura and Shirts Tucked In. These are all examples of heavily stickered cars with lots of sponsor names and super original clean artwork. D-Magic definitely has his own specific style of livery. I especially really like some of his hood designs. Sometimes he puts the car on the car. I mean, that's crazy. I like it. But yeah, my favorite livery he's done so far definitely has to be the one he installed on KC Shirts Tucked In's S13. The colors on the stickers flow so well with the pink to purple fade, and you can really see that on the hood right here. The sticker placement is absolutely insane, and the use of chrome vinyl really makes it all pop. The big Shirts Tucked In logo starting on the front of the door and stretching over the rear quarter panel is just absolutely fire. And an awesome use of a company logo in the design of a livery. Some cars have all this crazy tribal and stuff in the background, and then just slap a random sponsor logo on top, and it just turns out looking really goofy and out of place. This is how you do it right. It's not always easy to incorporate company logos in a car, especially if you can't change them. I know that. But it's just something it's going to make or break the livery design no matter what. You got to do the best you can to try to incorporate it right. One of my favorite livery designers as of recent is this guy Yuji Nishioka from Japan. Bro, this guy is insane. He's in his own lane completely. I mean, let me show you. This is crazy. He's mastered tribal, as you can see here and here, very classic tribal. But he's not afraid to step out of the box and try some pretty wild stuff. A true artist for sure. He does a great job of implementing crazy colors that you might not think would work, but actually end up working great, as well as some pretty unique designs. He also throws some crazy shapes in here that you're not going to see anywhere else, and does some really cool stuff with the asymmetrical placement of stickers, like right here. He even has a few liveries with two completely different designs on each side of the car. I've got a lot of respect for this guy, and if I ever end up running a livery on my Japan car, I know exactly who I'm going to. Alright, let's talk about legacy liveries. This is basically when you run a copy or an inspired version of a livery someone else ran in the past. Usually people do this with pro drivers liveries from like early D1 SL, D1 GP cars, and it can turn out really cool as long as it's done with respect. But if not, it can also turn out really bad. You really need to make sure the livery is sized properly on your car and executed well enough to pay homage to the person that originally ran the livery. A great example of a legacy livery would be the SL Spirit guys. They ran a classic Haraguchi livery on their 8.6s and it turned out great. They really did a good job of kind of redesigning the livery, stretching it out to kind of fit the 8.6 body lines really well. Another great example is from the Team Essence in Houston, Texas. We already talked about Jimmy JY World earlier, and we've also got Kevin in the Red S13 and Harris in the 86. A little bit of ketchup, mustard, and relish. They had their own take on a mix of a couple of different liveries, and it turned out really well. And these cars all look iconic together. We got an 8.6, R32, and an S13 all on the same team. That's fire. Shout out to Essence and Knuckle Up in Houston, Texas. Y'all are doing it right. Although we talked today about some pretty wild and colorful designs, a lot of the time, less is more. Something a little more low-key, like a ghost livery, or something small like this can look just as clean as a crazy-ass livery. And also, it's good to keep in mind your skill level. It's not always the best idea to draw attention to yourself if you can't consistently link the track, but that's just me, that's a personal thing, so just something to keep in mind. For all of you that stayed all the way through this, thank you so much. I can't even begin to explain how much I appreciate you. I love talking about all this little niche stuff and sharing it with you guys. And if you want to keep up with me and follow along with the videos, feel free to subscribe and follow me on Instagram. Everything will be down below. Oh, and one more thing. I originally commissioned a livery for the thumbnail of this video. I wanted to make something that kind of just would pop out and, get people's attention. I didn't end up using it, but I wanted to show it to you guys anyways. Here it is. Do you like it? I do.